Hello, my loves. Hello, hello, hello. My name is Dustina. This is Mercury Boujee Astrology, and we're going to take a look at the astrological transits of September 30th to October 6th. Now, I'm doing before you to have a recap or look ahead for those that are just starting to get to know me. Hi, my name is Dustina. The way that I do all of my readings is I start to look at the weekly transits and I give you an impression as to how they're going to infect you on an internal basis or an external basis. I let you know the weight of the energy or lack thereof and give you a good idea of how the energetic weather is going to look for you on a weekly basis. I'm not running any kind of specials this month whenever it comes to my readings. I've said this before on the month ahead forecast. The only special that I usually run is my new client special. And that's whenever you are a new client and you come to me for the first time, you get a discounted rate for your first session. All of my pricing is listed in the descriptions of every single episode, as well as my contact information. You can message me on social media. You can email me, whatever is going to be best for you. And I'll be happy to set aside some time to work with you and talk with you about whatever astrological needs that you might have. Okay, moving along. When it comes to this week, the biggest thing about this week is the fact that we have a Libra eclipse. We have a new moon eclipse conjunct the South Node, which is the body that has been removed from the head of the dragon. Removed, disgraced, outgrown, discarded, minimalized. Doesn't matter anymore. Over the course of the last few weeks, coming into this first week of October, we have had internal rumblings of sort. Some of that is because of unfinished business based off Pluto's return into Capricorn. For other people, that has been emotional responses that are starting to boil up to the surface. Bubble, bubble, boil and trouble. Here we come, little bit, little bit, little bit, little bit. And now we're rounding into something. Last week, the biggest impression of the energy was to identify the things that were holding us back. And many of you figured it out. Some of you, it was an internal thing. I have to start doing this differently. I have to take care of my body differently. I have to start working out. I have to go to the gym. I don't need a New Year's resolution to do that. I need to do it on my own terms. I need to start doing it now. I need to start doing my makeup more, taking care of myself more. I need to start doing these things that offer physical, aesthetic, and pleasure. I need to do this differently. My depression is holding me back. Some people started to identify an individual, a situation, a topic, a person, an idea that is anchoring them to something that they do not respond well to. For some people, it's even been a toxic pattern that we need to release and let go of. For some people, it is a true situation, an actual situation with another person that needs to get played out. That for some of you, there will be some news this week because of how we start the week. And we don't start the week with the eclipse. No, that's the middle of the week. That's Wednesday. We start the week in a Mercury Cazimi. Mercury coming into the heart of the sun, the light, some kind of news, some type of arrival, some type of decision, some type of verdict. There is news coming to light right at the beginning of the week. The human effect, for some people, it might have happened on Sunday, but for more people, it's going to be Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday going into the eclipse. There is something that must come to the light. Now, over the course of the weekend, the moon went through Leo and then Virgo. Well, Leo is ruled by the sun. Virgo is ruled by Mercury. And it could very well be the energies of just the last few days that brings this topic to light, this situation to light. The downloads that have come through for those that are in the alignment energy, but the physical effects of something happening between you and another person, allowing clarity that you're always going to be crazy. I never should have dated you. I should have always expected this. Clarity. This clarity is meant to offer an idea, a direction, a pivot to understand what we must cleanse, what we must let go of, What is holding us back from having inner peace? The thing about the South Node and the fact that it is the body without a head is the mind is where the ego is. If you detach the ego and you focus solely on how something makes you feel, the ever presence of whatever comes through this week, whatever new thing comes through, whether it is about your health, your business, your relationships, the clarity, the feeling should be something that brings you peace. If it doesn't directly bring you peace in that moment, then it's one of those things that it's showing you what is needed to achieve that level of peace, that level of harmony, that level of balance. Now, the thing about a new moon is they're not normally very heavy. We need something to come to light. We need something to get revealed. We need something to come into focus. And I do feel like a lot of people will have something come into focus this week. Focus that will lead to turnarounds next week. But we need the energy of this week to understand the focus, to understand what's coming to light, to make the decisions to trigger said turnarounds in other people, in other situations, in whatever they need to go do out of your space. Goodbye. We're working towards goodbyes. Some people, you might have a goodbye or so by the end of the week. And I do mean by the end of the week. I feel like a lot of people are going to have to take a few days to wrap their head around the energy, to feel it, and to again understand what's best for us to be able to move forward. We have something that has been keeping us out of balance. And now the awareness is a much more peaceful entity of regaining structure, regaining balance. And it won't all happen in a moment. It won't all happen in a single week, a single transit. It will take days. That's the human effect. We might realize something in one moment, but it will take days and weeks to build upon it and make things happen around it. And that's the normal thing. Now, we do have an eclipse this week, and it is the third in the series. So we're closing something out. We're triggering the closing out of something tied to the Libra eclipses. Emotional purge, karmic purge, a loosening of certain contracts and connections. We're no longer responsible for certain people and certain things and certain situations. No. Our desire is to be responsible for something purely for ourselves. We need the release. And for some people, this is not an easy release. It is stuff that has been going on deep below the surface that we have struggled with allowing to come to the forefront. But that struggle will not remain. Eruptions can happen. And I don't mean eruptions in the violent sense. I mean eruptions in the emotional sense. Those things that we've been holding back for so long, they're going to come to the surface. They're going to bubble up. The tears will flow. The emotions will come through. The deep-seated secrets, the deep-seated fears, they will come to light. They will find their way. And there's a lot of internalized energy to this week of understanding what it's necessary to do, what's necessary to have, the necessary steps to take to be able to find peace, harmony, a calmness. Now, for some people, the energy around this week and the body is not just changing the routine and healing our heart in some way. No. It's actually more along the lines of health. And whether you are dealing with the personal side and wanting to change that routine, or if you are literally having to meet with the doctors over this time frame and you are getting an actual diagnosis, all of this speaks to the energy. And there can be an awareness of new things tied to the body. It doesn't have to be you directly. It can be mom, it can be your brother, it can be grandpa, it could be the boss, it could be somebody else. But there's definitely an energy that speaks to an awareness of what is impacting this jiggle, 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 this as we go through the week. I don't anticipate a heaviness. I don't anticipate a whole lot of disagreements or arguments. Honestly, I think the tension will be at a minimal until the end of the week. And whenever we get to the last part of the week, I'll explain that. But I think for a lot of people, this energy here, the conversations that will be had, they will be hard, but they will be gentle. I don't anticipate a painful conversation. Can you lose your breath? Can you be in shock? Absolutely. But a physical reaction to it, I don't necessarily anticipate that for most people. I think there's a calmness to this week, a necessary calmness that we need to feel to be able to tell the other person what our fears are, what we've been feeling, where we've been going with something. There's some level of change. I don't want to be in this relationship anymore. I don't want to be tethered to you anymore. I'm scared we're never going to get married. I'm scared we're never going to have a family. I'm scared I'm holding you back. I'm scared of what I'm missing out on because I'm settling for this. That's a hard one, but it's a reality. It's a very big truth. And I do feel like there will be a lot of truths that can come to the surface as we go through parts of this week. Let's get into the week. Let's get into Monday. Monday, 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 Monday. Monday, 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 Monday. Okay. I got this Monday, September 30th, and I do have this right after midnight. I have this right after midnight because I want to show the one transit that was going on right before midnight, because it really kind of sets the mood about how actions are going to continue that are relieving us from certain responsibilities, certain roles, and certain behaviors. And that is Mars separating from its trine to Saturn. Now, it went the most exact around 10:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, 2 hours before. So this is why I'm showing this. It is still a part of the vibration as we're going into Monday. There is a decision to make a change, an emotional change. Mars is in Cancer, Saturn is in Pisces, to move away from certain responsibilities, to no longer be in control of certain things, to no longer offer certain support to certain people. I'm not in charge anymore. I'm not going to take care of this for you anymore. You have to do this on your own. And this energy kind of speaks to this right here. Considering as we go through the day, Mars and Saturn are still going to be very heavy imprinted in the day on Monday. There can be some late night conversations on Sunday that have an effect to Monday morning. So that's the other reason I wanted to start this around midnight. So you can see this right here. Now we're going to bump this forward. We're going to get this to around 9:30 in the morning, because that'll show us. Oh, why am I on a minute? Bad Dusty. Okay. Let's get this to about 9:30. So that's going to show both of them. So we got two things going on right here. Two things. One, between 8:30 and 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, the moon is going to go through its opposition to Saturn. And you can see that right here. It is almost exact. You can see it here. Simultaneously, When the moon is going through its opposition to Saturn, it will go through a sextile with Mars. Mars is full steam ahead. Mars is technically moving towards the moon. And it's in this energy of like, we are moving ahead with some actions, some decisions have been made, some responsibilities are changing, some roles are changing, some beliefs are changing. Saturn and Pisces can have a lot to do with beliefs. And there is an interaction of like bringing a third party into the mix. And this is either talking about the result, talking about the next step, or talking about what has changed or adjusted the night before, where we've had disruption potentially, where we've made a different maneuvering, where we've had a change in plans. Now, considering the moon is in Mercury's sign during all of this, we now have to pay attention to the other thing that's going on. And it's not exact right here. It doesn't go exact until about 4 o'clock, but all day while the moon is entering this opposition to Saturn and this sextile for Mars, all during the day, we are building into the Mercury Cazimi. So I would pay attention to what Mercury rules in your chart. Jupiter is stationing, will not turn retrograde for another week, but Jupiter is slowing down and is about to do a turnaround in Gemini. The moon is in Virgo. What does Mercury rule in your chart? Because it's very, very likely, given that both signs are active right now and will remain active through the actual exactness of the Cazimi, is it can have to do with this area of the chart. So is this a financial house for you? Is this a travel house for you? Is this a relationship house for you? Is it a friendship house for you? You might be spending money, you might be making money, you might have some kind of financial opportunity, some other type of business coming through, some other type of communication, a friend calling saying that they've got this bright idea, something that they're wanting to do. Pay attention to the Mercury aspects of the chart and what Mercury actually rules, because that can have a big part of what's coming through in this Cazimi. Okay. Speaking of that, let's continue. Again, the Cazimi is going to go the most exact between 3:50 and 4:29 p.m. Central Standard Time. So I got this at 4:30. You can see they're a minute off now. Here's the sun, 8 degrees, 12 minutes. Here's Mercury, 8 degrees, 13 minutes. There is something coming into the heart of the sun. There is an idea. There is a result. There is news. There is clarity. We get some level of understanding of something that we did not have before. And given the way the earlier impressions were between the moon's sextile to Mars and the moon's opposition to Saturn, there could have literally been late night decisions from the night before, decisions from the weekend that are impacting this right here. Clarity, something is being discovered, something is coming to light. It's not completely new. It's not happening at an early degrees. It's not really an ending because it's not happening at the later degrees. It's something that's been kind of going on for a while, and we're coming to some type of revealing in the energy. Okay. Again, the Mercury Cazimi goes the most exact between 3:50 and 4:29 p.m. We are in this energy all day long, and we have one more transit that is occurring. For me, it is occurring right before midnight. So for some people, the human effect is what I describe next is going to be a part of Monday evening. For other people, it's going to be a part of Tuesday morning. What do we got right here? I got it at 11:30, and what we have is Jupiter going through its exact square with the moon. Now, we just had a Mercury Cazimi. Jupiter, again, it's in Mercury's sign. The moon, again, is in Mercury's sign. This is one extra layer and one extra element of direction. Jupiter in the higher authority, talking to the moon, but also Jupiter stationing to turn retrograde. So I'm considering a change. I'm considering going in a different direction. I'm considering something else. I don't know how I feel about you going in this direction. I don't know that I want to spend this money. I don't know that I want to do this. I don't know if I can help you with Jupiter square to the moon. There's a hesitation in the Jupiter parts of the transits right now. And you will feel hesitation coming from one side in many times whenever we need help with the doctor, the guru, the teacher, you're needing insight from somebody, you're needing some type of support and hope from a certain individual, there's a hesitancy. I can't promise you that. I can't tell you that. I can't give you what you want. I'm starting to get a little hesitant. I don't really know. Let me think about it. You hear, let me think about it right now. You're probably going to get told no later. Just be aware of that. Again, the square between Jupiter and the moon, that's going to go the most exact between 10:30 p.m. and 12:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. So again, the moon Jupiter situation, it can be late on Monday or it can be early on Tuesday. We're going to keep going into Tuesday. After the moon squares Jupiter, it's going to go quiet for a little bit. Air quotations on quiet. Air quotations there until we get into the early part of the morning. And there can be a lot of bouncing around on certain situations based off of the moon hitting these quick lunar transits all over the course of Tuesday morning. So don't be surprised if you're bouncing around based off of how this is going to go. So first things first, between 10:30 a.m. and 12:30 p.m., the moon right here at 26 degrees is going to go through a trine with Uranus. An unexpected thing, an unexpected change, an unexpected thing not going to plan. Hey, I thought we were meeting for coffee. Oh my God, I had this thing happen with my car. The Mercury Cazimi could have been something with a vehicle. Let's be clear about that because it is Mercury. Oh yeah, I'm at the shop right now. I forgot all about we were supposed to meet. We've had this unexpected disruption of someone not being able to do something the way that they anticipated. Oh, well, you could have said something. I really forgot. I didn't mean to. It wasn't a big thing. It wasn't meant to be a big thing. I wasn't trying to be rude. I lost track because, things happen. Anyways, Uranus is trine to the moon, has unexpected energy, an unexpected thing. Again, something not going to plan. There can be excitement here. If it's excitement, it's like something from the past coming back around or seeing someone from the past have some level of achievement or have something going on, like based off of the revealing energy. But there can be something just exciting or unexpected to the early parts of Tuesday morning. You see that right here. Now, as we get more into the lunchtime hours, let's get this to about 1:30, between 12:30 and 2:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. So I got this at 1:30. The moon is going to hit the opposition to Neptune, talking about something that is confusing, that we are not clear about, seeing something that does not make sense, finding something that does not make sense. Now, for some people, it's not going to be the confusing, it's going to be the inspirational. Neptune's energy can be very diluted sometimes. Seeing something that is inspirational, that is spiritual, that gives you clarity, that gives you guidance. One person can be very logical in the situation, and the other person can be, woo, yeah, that happens sometimes. But there can also be something about talking about where we don't feel like something has been honest. And there can be some very serious conversations, especially based off of what just got revealed in that Mercury Cazimi, where somebody feels blindsided by something and they're trying to talk through their emotions with somebody else going, I didn't know it was like this. Did you really not know? Or did you just decide to be like a horse with blinders and only see what you wanted to see? Sometimes we are the people that get in our own way. We choose to ignore the writing on the wall. And sometimes you have to be slapped with reality a little bit to remind you, like, no, he's pretty well said that all summer, that he's not into it, that he didn't want to do this with you. He's been pretty honest about it. Now there's just this level of like, I'm putting my foot down. I'm not doing this. I don't want to do this with you. And you can be talking somebody through something where they have to accept something that they don't readily want to accept. Okay. Moving along. Oh, after the opposition to Neptune between 3:30 and 5:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, so I'm bumping this to 4:30, the moon is going to go through that trine with Pluto. Now, the moon is moving towards Pluto. Pluto is still retrograde and technically moving towards the moon. So he's stationing. He's not going anywhere. Pluto's not going anywhere from this point, but it's still one of those things that there's reception here. They're moving towards one another. So by accepting the fate, by accepting something is not going to change, by accepting something is what it is. There's something about this I'm hearing, it is what it is. It allows for us to finally recognize something that we need to let go of. This is a trine still happening at 29 degrees. And we've already had multiple hits of planets hitting trines and squares to Pluto at 29 degrees. So again, we have to be aware that it is okay to release something, to let go of something. It is okay to talk about our fears. It is okay to be scared to let go of things. And that feels like a big part of the energy here. Grounded, earth to earth, logical, earth to earth, tangible, earth to earth, that something is changing, that something is turning, and it is okay to release fears. Okay. Oh, at 5:20 p.m., so I'm going to bump this an hour. The moon will go into Libra. It goes into the sign where we're going to have the eclipse. The eclipse, again, is not going to be exact on the first. It goes exact on the second. But the moon will go into Libra in this evening time on Tuesday. And the entire time we're rounding into an eclipse. So you can have eclipse-like energy that's playing out on Tuesday just as much as you do Wednesday. And because there's just a handful more of the lunar transits on Tuesday, I wouldn't be surprised. So let's be clear about that. All right, moving along. Oh, it's not that the moon is void. It doesn't actually really go void on Tuesday, not for more than about 10 minutes. It's just that there's not a whole lot going on once the moon goes into Libra. So it's like we have some time to wrap our head around some things, to get our energy set straight. And then we start to move into Wednesday, as you see right here. Okay. So the first thing that's going to happen is around 6:50 in the morning. So I'm going to get this at 6:30. It's close enough. And the moon is going to make a conjunction to the south node. This is internalized energy. We can feel something in the body. We can make a decision in the body. We can notice a change in the body. We can feel an emotional click deep within. And that might correspond to something that we need to talk about, that we need to work through, that we need to accept, that we need to deal with, that we need to find peace with, acceptance to. Especially if the acceptance is we need to let go of something. The moon's conjunction to the south node. Bumping this into the afternoon. Now, the eclipse goes exact at 1:49 p.m. Central Standard Time. But the timeline of whenever we feel that conjunction of the moon and the sun ranges, we always do look at like a good 2-hour range. So between 1 and 3 p.m. So if you get to lunchtime here in the States and you start to feel that internalized energy turn into something else, if you're feeling drawn to something midday, don't be surprised, because that's going to be that eclipse energy kind of like coming to the surface, coming to light. And for a lot of people, this is going to be internalized energies coming to the surface. We will feel the conjunction between the moon and the sun the most exact between 1 and 3 p.m. And then whenever we get into the afternoon between 4:30 and 6:30, so I got this at 5:30, the moon is going to make a conjunction to Mercury. You can see that here. I don't get too heavy on the eclipse because, of course, it's going to get its own episode with its wonderful tarot cards. I'm going straight to the moon and Mercury. And there is a decision, there is a conversation, there is a revisiting of what has just been revealed. You got to think, Mercury just had a Cazimi with the sun. That new moon is in a conjunction to that Mercury. For a lot of people, whatever news came to light Sunday, Monday, Tuesday is directly impacting this eclipse on Wednesday. For a lot of people, it is what got revealed in the Mercury Cazimi that allows for this new thing to begin. That connection with friends, that financial opportunity, whatever was coming through on those few days. And it's like, as soon as you hear the news, as soon as the offer is there, we're super excited. We want to start it. We want to do it. And there can be the acceptance level of something. Again, we make a decision to accept something, to do something. We're talking things through. It's a very noisy energy. It can be excitable, not heavy though. That's the clear thing. It's not meant to be heavy. And I'm a Scorpio rising going through this. So this is all in my 12th house. And even I'm saying it's not meant to be heavy. It does not have to be heavy. Okay, let's move this along. After the conjunction between the moon and Mercury, there ain't a whole lot going on. Honestly, Wednesday feels so chill and so peaceful. Such an odd energy given everything else we've had lately. And going into Thursday, it's still that way. The moon's going to be in Libra all day long. Now, between 1:30 and 3 a.m. Central Standard Time, we are going to have a square between Mars and the moon. And there can be some things here that have frustrations and tensions and arguments, can. But for other people, there might be a restlessness, especially because this isn't happening in the middle of the night, at least for us here in the States. There's a restlessness, like we can feel this drive coming through of like, okay, I got to do this now. I got to take this action. I got to go in this direction. I have to do something. So don't be surprised by that. You can also have this ability to purge something emotionally, given that Mars is in Cancer, the moon is in is hosting that Mars, and it's talking to someone else that has been in that situation, that understands why you're feeling that way, why you would think that way, what you would accomplish if you were to do something different. There can be some troubleshooting here, emotional troubleshooting and understanding, and something that can again help us reach some level of balance, of peace, of minimalizing the frustration, the pain, and the anger. So for some people, yes, this can be tension because it's a square, and squares are of the nature of Mars. But I don't feel like this is going to be a lot of like aggression for a lot of people. I really don't. If it turns that way for you, I apologize, but I just don't feel it. Okay, moving this along. Bump this a couple hours. We're getting to the early morning, and then between 11:30 and 1:30 p.m. So we got this at 12:30 now. Jupiter is going to go through a trine with the moon, air to air, idea to idea, logic to logic, decision to decision, communication to communication. There can be a lot of communications and lessons going on. There can also be the talks about, again, a hesitancy. I don't think that I'm going to be able to take care of this. You're going to have to go another direction. Jupiter is the doctor, the guru, the teacher. I don't know that I'm going to still be able to support you. I don't know that I'm still going to be able to care for you. Sometimes Jupiter, and especially in Vedic astrology, can be a representation of husbands. Something about the husband saying, I don't know that you're going to be able to keep spending that way. But there's something here where we can talk about where we need to make a change because of a hesitancy, because of something that is starting to turn around. I don't know how much longer we're going to do this. I don't know how much longer this is going to be an option. Jupiter is stationing. And at this point is less than a week from turning retrograde. So the hesitancy buildup is real. Okay. After the trine between Jupiter and the moon, ain't crap going on. There's nothing direct. There's the buildup and the separation of certain things. Like we're building to the trine between Venus and Saturn, but it's not direct. We're still separating between Saturn and Mars, but it's not direct. Most of the direct things have happened. So really, after this moment, we're kind of just chilling. We don't have a whole lot going on through Friday. We're going to now get in. I'm sorry, we're not going through a whole lot on Thursday. Now we're actually going to get into Friday. You can see that here. Now, there can be some things that do kind of trigger fear and insecurity because you don't understand why another person is acting a certain way. And that can come through. But I do feel like for a lot more people, this is internalized energy based off of the square right here. So between 4:30 and 6:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, I got this at 5:30. The moon is going to hit a square to Pluto. But Pluto is the modern ruler of Scorpio. And as soon as this square is done, the moon is going to move into Scorpio. The moon is going into Pluto's sign. So there can be something that happens in the early morning hours, some type of fear, some type of trigger, some type of thing that has occurred, some type of awareness that we need to go ahead and wrap something up turn something around. And that's about to become our focus once the moon goes into Scorpio. It's kind of a challenge per se. It's a receptive challenge of, I can get this done if you can get this done. I can do this if you can do this. Yeah, I think we can make that work. And once we both pull our weights together, our tool sets together, our capabilities together, once we put our minds together, over the next few days, we can accomplish something. We can get something set. So I do feel like this is a more positive energy for a lot of people. There can be triggers of fear and insecurity. I'm not sugarcoating that, but I feel like for a lot more people, we have a tenacity of things that's starting to come through. And we have an idea of something we need to turn around. And even if you don't have it up until this point, it might be at this point that you're getting it because we're getting the exact square between the moon and Pluto. Okay. Oh, we're going to feel this again between 4:30 and 6:30 a.m. at 6:23. So I'm just going to bump this an hour. Boom, here's the moon. And now it's in Scorpio. This is that house that is, again, ruled by Pluto. It's ruled by Mars. Pluto is trying to turn something around, and he's about a week away from ending his retrograde. And Mars is dead set in the middle of Cancer. So in this moment, we have to come to terms with something and recognize something that needs to turn around. So again, putting our minds to things and figuring something out. And that figuring it out is for the long haul. All right, cool. You want to get a divorce? We need to talk about who's going to have the kids. We're going to talk about what types of things needs to happen. I'm not arguing. I'm just saying we have to talk some things through. Now, the other thing that is going on is all day we are building to Venus's exact trine with Saturn. This is actually going to go exact around lunchtime, but it's going to be a vibration that we are in all day long. It goes the most exact between 12:02 and 12:21 p.m. Central Standard Time. What I thought was interesting when I was looking at this is while Venus is in her trine, remember, Venus is hosting Mercury and the Sun, specifically now Mercury. Mercury is working through a quincunx with Saturn. We can try to have some very necessary conversations. We can initiate some conversations about what's going to be shifting in roles and responsibility, who's in control of what, who's going to be taking care of this for grandpa, who's going to be doing this for the boss. There can be elements of delegation that in one way we don't want to agree to, given that quincunx to Mercury. And I only say it this way because Venus is hosting that Mercury. In another way, Venus could be convincing Saturn, you can trust them. You can give them this responsibility. You can offer this to Joe, to Susie, to somebody else. It doesn't have to be me. And Venus could be providing information to the authority figure, to the elder, that they are not easily willing to accept or understand. In fact, they might even feel a little frustrated. But again, this isn't explosive. This is just like, I don't really want to talk about that right now. I don't believe that they're going to be able to handle this. I don't think that they're the right person. I think we should look somewhere else. And don't be surprised by that. Is there reception and respect between Venus and Saturn here? Absolutely. But does Saturn like all of Venus's ideas? No. No. And that can be just like a theme there is like, look, I love and respect you, but I don't have to agree with you. And that feels like a big part of the vibration. Now, to be clear, after the exact trine between Saturn and Venus, there ain't crap going on. It's so chill. It's so low key. Now, for some people, can you be having those things going on below the surface? Yep. I'm not sugarcoating that, and I'm not pretending that it won't happen. But does that have to be the end all, be all, break all to everything? No, not at all. I think a lot of people are going to feel a chill energy throughout the week in a lot of ways. Okay. We're getting into Saturday. We're getting into the 5th. And whenever we get to the early morning hours, the moon is going to make a trine to Saturn. So you can see this right here. Got this at 11:30. We're going to feel this the most exact between 10 a.m. and noon on Central Standard Time. But here's the moon, 14 degrees, 25 minutes. It's just past the exact trine with Saturn. But given the day before, Venus was in the exact trine, this is picking up right where Venus was. So it's like providing an additional layer, additional information, additional thought, something extra for Saturn to consider whenever it comes to where we are making changes in roles and responsibility. In some ways, we can be delivering some level of additional news tied to the prior day's conversations when we actually had the full trine. Now, Venus is still present here. She's still in this energy. And as we go through the day, right after lunchtime between 12:30 and 3 p.m., so I'm just going to bump this an hour, the moon will hit the conjunction to Venus. It goes actually closer. Yeah, it's almost exact at 1:30 right there. And they're both moving at a faster pace. So this one I gave a larger window of 2.5 hours. The moon can be in the conjunction to Venus. There's an acceptance here. There's an awareness here. There can be discussions about what is fair, what has changed, what is transforming, the aesthetic of something, the heartfelt energy of something. Very good energy for recognizing like feminine power and that type of energy. There is an acceptance, there is a meeting, there is a run in with something that feels very good to the heart, to the mind, and to the soul. I like this energy. We can also be talking about the things that we are wanting to change, that we're wanting to transform, and where we are wanting to overcome past fears and insecurities. Given that we just had an eclipse in the Venus ruled sign, and now the moon is moved over and actually made its conjunction to Venus, there can be things that have lingered all throughout the week that finally start to hit in a whole different way once we get to the weekend. And that would be that human effect. The moon is making the conjunction to the host of the stronger of the two eclipses, something that we need to start. And there can be the awareness of, for these changes to kick in, this is how we start it. This is how we do it. This is who's accepting what. This is who's in charge of what. This is how we're going to do it. And this is happening in a fixed sign. So the idea is that it's meant to be something for the long term. Okay. Okay. Now, while we get to the afternoon, not if, but when we get more into the afternoon, between 4:30 and 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, the moon is going to go through a trine with Mars. So you can see this here. Mars, 17 degrees, 23 minutes. Here's the moon, 17 degrees, 24 minutes. Water to water, flow to flow, ideas to ideas. Mars is hosting the moon. The moon is hosting Mars. So there's a very big understanding of two people talking about things from their own perspectives while also being very cohesive with the other. There's a level of emotional understanding, even if it's understanding disruption, understanding the pain, understanding the heartache, understanding the shifts, the aesthetic, the changes, what's necessary again for us to get into balance. There is a level of understanding here while these two are in mutual reception of one another. And while the moon is going through the trine with Mars all day, Mars and Mercury are building a square. And what's interesting about the next 24 hours, so the 5th into the 6th, is while the moon and Mars are in mutual reception, and while Mars is building its square to Mercury, Mars is entering shadow. So we are talking about and working through and discussing the things, making the decisions, making the shifts, giving guidance, giving direction of things that we will very likely be coming back to in February. The very big window. I'm not kidding, because now we're in the area where Mars will be coming back to for quite a while in February. So any of the new things that start to come through now, they're going to have layers in the effect. Okay. Moving this along. Oh, after the trine between Mars and the moon, not a whole lot going on. Not really. We're going to get into Sunday. The moon's going to be in Scorpio most of the day. We have the exact square between Mars and Mercury going between 1:27 a.m. and 1:40 a.m. Central Standard Time. So for some people, this is going to be late night energy. But here you can see Mars 17 degrees 33 minutes squaring Mercury 17 degrees 33 minutes. You can see them here in their square. Mars is in the higher authority. Now, based off of the frustration, based off of the hurt, this is where I was saying before, it can lead to disruption, it can lead to frustrations, and potentially lead to fighting because Mars is in the higher authority, hitting that square to Mercury. And Mars is emotional. For some people, Mars in Cancer has been very, very volatile. And some people have not been able to handle their emotions. They get grabbed so quickly and so easily by the energy. And it can be based off of other discussions that have been happening, events that have occurred throughout the week, some type of culmination point. I don't want to say boiling point. So culmination point the day before when the moon Venus conjunction was exact brings us to some level of hard conversation. Whenever Mars hits that square with Mercury, there is a push to commit to something, to agree to something. And if you commit to or agree to something here, it's likely not going to stick because, again, we're going to come back to it by February. If you commit to something in this moment and be aware of the commitments that you are making. Some of you just feel so compelled, you are not going to be able to control it. And you will make a contractual obligation. You will do something extra. You will do something in this moment or in the day following. The human effect is this could actually end up happening the first of next week. But there is something very, very real in this conversation that if you are going into it blindly, emotionally, not crossing all your I's and dotting all your T's, you can come to regret it. And again, the Dusty rule that was explained in the month ahead forecast is now in full effect. Okay, moving along. And if you don't know what I mean, go listen to the rules of the month ahead forecast that was in the beginning of that. Okay, moving back. Oh, now, when Mars and Mercury are in their exact square, what's also happening is this in conjunction of the moon and Jupiter. So you can see this right here. They're not seeing eye to eye. And I think that speaks volumes to the fact that Jupiter is stationing. Jupiter is now 3 days away from turning retrograde. Whatever starts to get pushed in this moment, whatever is being demanded with the Mars Mercury square, this can be a part of Jupiter's turnaround of no longer wanting to support something, of no longer being able to help somebody do something, of no longer feeling like, okay, I can't contribute, I can't help. Now, that might not happen immediately. It might actually happen over the days to come, specifically once the moon goes into Sagittarius. And that's going to be a part of how we end Sunday and go into Monday and Tuesday, just to be clear. Okay, moving this along. We're going to get to the morning time. And between 11:30 and 1:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, the moon is going to go through its opposition to Uranus. So you can see this right here. Here's the moon, 26 degrees, 26 minutes. Here's Uranus, 26 degrees, 45 minutes. Now, considering Mars was just in this square to Mercury, Mars being the host of the moon being, actually, not, I shouldn't say host, the moon and Mars being in cohabitation, being in the, I'm not saying it right, what, co-presence with one another, house swap. There can be something based off of the decision, the idea, the disagreement from the night before, from early this morning, human effect with the Mars Mercury square, that another person is caught off guard. You might see the reaction of a decision and you are surprised, like, oh, I didn't even know there was an issue. You guys are breaking up. wow. Or you get that unexpected phone call of, hey, can I come over? Can we talk? I need someone to talk to. Sure. Yeah, come on over. You want to hang out? You want to talk? Whatever. Come on over. Okay, cool. Give me a couple hours and I'll be by. And that gets me into the next part. Between 1:30 and 3:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, so now I got this at 2:30, the moon is going to make a trine with Neptune. There is emotional understanding while also feeling confused, while also learning about things that we did not know. There can be something that can be inspiring and spiritual, but there can also be awareness of lies that we did not know. And it might not have had anything to do with this. So this does have like a gossip feel to it, given the way the rest of the transits have been laid out. Neptune wasn't involved in the majority of this week. So it's another layer of like, wow, I didn't even know that there was a problem. I didn't know what I didn't know. And there can be an element here that is shrouded in cloudiness, fogginess, and confusion as we go through parts of the day on Sunday. Okay. That again, it's felt the most between 1:30 and 3:30 p.m. And then we're going to get into this last little bit. And I got this at 6:30. Between 5 and 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, the moon in Scorpio is going to make a sextile to Pluto. Pluto's actually had a bit of an imprint to this week. This is the third time the moon has hit some type of aspect to Pluto. And now the moon is doing it from Pluto's sign. So again, there is an awareness of even more of something that needs to change, a trigger of something that needs to change. There can also be the awareness of something that we have put our minds to over the weekend and we have changed. And again, if we've made some type of very big decision over the weekend, that is now an imprint to things that we will come back to in February, either with the person, in the conversation, whatever it is. But we've now set some level of an imprint, many of us. And there can be some recognition, again, of the changes, of the trauma, of the fear, of wanting to turn something around, of wanting to let something go. Because again, Pluto is stationing and we're about 5 days away from it ending a retrograde. So we have these things of being aware of something we want to turn around. Okay. At 6:35 p.m. Central Standard Time, so I'm just going to bump this an hour, even though it's just the 5 minutes, boom, the moon goes into Sagittarius. And this is going to be a big thing. Not a big thing in the transits, a big thing in the energy. Over the course of the next 2.5 days, starting Sunday evening, so this will be how we go into the next week, starting Sunday evening, is once the moon goes into Jupiter's sign, we will be far more aware of what it is about Jupiter and its turnaround and how it's going to impact us. Because by the time the moon leaves Sagittarius on the 9th, Jupiter will have turned retrograde. So the moon is in Jupiter's sign while Jupiter is turning. So we have to be aware this week of what Mercury rules in our chart based off the beginning of the week. But by the end of the week and going into the first part of next week, we need to be very aware of what Jupiter is ruling in our chart, specifically Sagittarius. Is this our money houses? Is this our friendship houses? Is this our relationship houses, the family, whatever this is starting to do? Because we have turns that are happening, energetic turns that are happening. And there are more turns to next week because Jupiter will turn retrograde, followed by Pluto turning direct. And what starts to happen next week will be an energy that compounds over 2 weeks. And again, if you listen to the month ahead forecast already, I've explained it. The 8th through the 20th, they all run into one another. It's like one prolonged event. One thing after another in one theme is what it feels like. But a lot of the decisions of this week feels like it makes us aware of what that theme is going to be. Now, if you're going into this week Sunday afternoon and you're sitting here thinking, I don't know what clarity is going to arrive, then it's not you making the decision for that clarity to make sense. And more than likely, you're going to be the moon in that situation. You're not Saturn and you're not Mars. You're going to be the moon. And when the moon makes its aspects Monday morning, that provides the immediate awareness of where the clarity will be coming through on Monday. I don't think that a lot of people are going to completely understand that clarity until it hits for you. The human effect for some people, it can be Sunday night. For more people, it's going to be exact on Monday. For some people, there will be a carryover that lasts into Tuesday, but I feel like the most of us, it's going to hit Monday morning. And that Mercury Cazimi. That Mercury Cazimi offers clarity for what's going to be starting and impacting the eclipse. Whatever we start to choose based off of that right there is going to set something in motion that imprints what we will be coming back to come February, when Mars is back in this area of the sky at the end of the Mars retrograde. We are at the start of something. We are at the start of making changes. We are at the start of turning things around. We are at the start of breaking free of something. We are at the start of making peace in our mind, in our heart, and in our body. There is a cleansing in this energy. There is a loosening of karmic knots and ties in this energy. But in the actions as to what it takes to get through that cleansing, to get untethered, we need to be calm in our words and in our choices and in the conversations that we are having. And I do feel like for a lot of people this week, on an individual aspect, we will be calm. It'll be almost eerie because we can feel that these are going to be important decisions. We can feel that somebody making that change, moving in that direction, taking that promotion, going in that way, doing that thing, we can feel that that's going to be bigger. But in this moment, doesn't have to feel like anything at all. Not going to do some big fireworks show, but it's imprinting, it's setting the stage. We can see it, we can feel it. And if we understand what we're moving into, it'll make it a lot easier to be able to go, yeah, so you're going to do what? You're going to move away. You're just going to take off. You're going to run away to Alaska. See you in February. There's always a Saggy out there that they're going to run away. And as a Gemini, I like adventures. So sometimes I want to run away. But we will have those imprints. We will have those ties. We will have those adjustments and tethers. But there is an imprint with the decisions, with the unfolding, and the newness of this week that has layers to it, because we are going to be coming back to it. We're either going to be coming back to this agreement, we're going to be coming back to something with the person we made the agreement with, we're going to be coming back to the situation that we thought we were going to be squashing this week. We'll be coming back to it in some way, shape, or form by springtime. All right. I love and appreciate every single one of you. I will talk to everybody very, very soon. Subscribe.